So we're starting our dish with a little bit of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, not heated too hot so it burns, and fresh chopped garlic. To this, I'm adding chicken breast that I've cubed and fresh Italian sausage. And we're just going to brown that lightly, and then we'll go on to the vegetable component before we add the seafood. Season this lightly with salt and pepper and let it simmer just until the chicken becomes translucent and the sausage becomes a little brown. You can see everything is getting a little bit brown. Nice glaze, nice char on it. I'm gonna pull that out and set it aside as I do my vegetables. Now, to my pan, I'm going to add fresh onions, mushrooms, and peppers. And we're going to saute those before we put in the San Marzano tomatoes. I've seasoned my onions, mushrooms, and peppers with a bit of salt and white pepper, because I love the little extra heat you get from white pepper. And we're just going to saute these until the onions become translucent and slightly brown. And then we're going to put the the sausage and chicken back in there, and then add our tomatoes. So just toss them lightly until they're golden brown, and then return your chicken and sausage into the dish. And then we're going to add our tomatoes. The clams and shrimp will come in a bit. So you can see the tomatoes have just become softened, and I'm going to add, about a half a cup of chicken stock. And then I will transfer this into a oven-proof casserole dish. And I'm going to add the clams and the shrimp and just heat that through in the oven for about 15 minutes or so, as to not overcook the seafood. So I've added my seafood. We have a few clams, a few shrimp. I'm going to cover this and put it into a 350 degree oven until the clams pop and release their liquor, and the shrimp are a beautiful fresh pink. And again, the important thing is not to overcook the seafood. So as I took it out of the oven, you'll see that the shrimp and the clams are perfect. And this will be served over a saffron rice. Amazing dinner. Simple yet delicious. So our first course is going to be a lobster bisque. So what I've done is I've roasted my lobster shells, because my brother-in-law came down with the kids last week and we had 10 2-pound lobsters and lots of shells. So I created a beautiful lobster stock. And of course, because I don't know how to cook for two, there are 4 quarts in the freezer, and then we have tonight's soup. So the mirepoix has been done. I have used the immersion blender to thicken it up and to blend it all together. And the last step will be adding the cognac, the cream, and then the fresh lobster meat. But I don't want to do that until the end, when it's about ready to be served, so the lobster does not become tough. I'm now going to add the cream to the bisque. And you don't want it too hot, because you don't want to break it, nor do you want to curdle the cream. So, being that it is bisque, we don't want to worry too much about calorie content, so I'm using heavy cream. And you can see the beautiful color as it changes. And the red not only comes from the roasted lobster shells, but from a little bit of tomato paste. And once this comes together, I will add the fresh picked lobster meat from a couple of DJ King's lobsters that we got this week. And I'll show you how delicious it is at the end. Next, we start our rice. And I've used a beautiful organic brown rice and fresh, or not fresh, saffron threads for beautiful color and a delicious flavor. And we're gonna cover and let that simmer for about 40 minutes. And that is going to be served below that beautiful stew that we're usual in a lobster bisque served in a restaurant, which is just the creamy soup. I love to add croutons, a dollop of creme fraiche, and some fresh garden chives. It makes a beautiful presentation and adds to the texture of the dish. So I've taken the bowl out of the freezer, so it's super chilled. I've added vanilla and a little bit of confectionery sugar, and we're now whipping our whipped cream for dessert. So we're beginning to plate the entree. A beautiful saffron brown rice. We're following up with a beautiful garden salad, heirloom tomatoes, native cukes, and greens from the garden. And back there is a crazy creamy peppercorn dressing using some spices from Penzies. Next, we're going to add our beautiful stew with chicken, sausage, clams, and shrimp over a beautiful saffron rice. The mushrooms, the sausage, the tomatoes, the deliciousness is just going to be heaven. I will let you know how good it tastes. See you soon. So I'm taking my first shortbread, which what I've done is I've taken and sliced them in half. And I'm adding my fresh peaches and strawberries. And they have been macerated in peach and blackberry balsamic vinegar. I'm going to take a little bit of that juice and pour it over, because the shortbreads or the shortcakes have all these beautiful nooks and crannies in them to absorb the flavor. I'm adding another one on top. I was going to try and do a 4-layer, but obviously that would make you feel like a cow. So we're only going to do 2 layers. I'm putting fresh fruit over the top of the second layer. And I'm going to add a fresh made whipped cream. right on the top of that. And then just dribble a little bit of that juice over the top. Voila! Who gets a better dessert than that? What a perfect dessert. Fresh fruit. Fresh shortcakes. Fresh syrup. Absolutely delightful. A feast made in heaven. Can you say delicious? Fresh native fruit, fresh whipped cream, and beautiful shortcakes. Delicious. Enjoy.